Well, that'll do it from a surprisingly hot one over here at Bengals practice today. And the offense, they were red hot on the field, Skinny.
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good. They had some lengthy 11-on-11 sessions, and the offense really never got stopped. A nice touchdown pass to Andre Yoshua. They actually didn't finish these drives off with touchdowns, per se. They stopped them around the 20-yard line, and they kind of restarted things. But, in that time period where they drove from, like, their own 20 or 30-yard line, they were always deep into the defense's territory. Joe Burrow was sharp. The receivers were sharp. JaMarr Chase makes at least one or two plays a camp or a camp practice where you just go, how? How does he make that catch? He made one in the red zone today. It was kind of a little out and up. It was low red zone. It's a ball that Joe had very small area to fit it in. Josh Newton had just blanket coverage on him. And all of a sudden you just see JaMarr at the last second stick his hands up, make the catch with very little room to spare along the sidelines, got his feet in, and it made it look so easy. And we've seen all kinds of receivers. Mitchell Tinsley's had a great camp. Jermaine Burton was having a great camp till he has been hurt for the last few practices and again was on the rehab field today. T. Higgins has had a great camp, and I think they've done a good job managing him. Charlie Jones has had a great camp. I mean, this is a guy that, for that last game against Cleveland in 2023, his rookie year, kind of a nothing game, right? And they're out of the playoff hunt, so you're trying to see other guys. Charlie has 4 catches for like almost 50 yards, runs 2 reverses for like 25 yards, was in the return game, and you're like, okay, this guy can be a really multifaceted weapon. Has a 100-yard kickoff return last year against Cleveland. You're like, okay, at the very minimum, he's going to electrify in the return games. He's had a punt return touchdown as a rookie. But, man, injuries have robbed him of a lot of that. In fact, the catch he made today where he dove, in my mind, I'm like, is he going to get up? Because it's just one of those things. It just seems like the injury bug has hit him. If he can stay healthy, I mean, you're already talking about you're 3 or 4 deep at tight end. You obviously have 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. I don't think the NFL knows what's coming with Chase Brown, especially how well he played in the 8 games he started. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to add a Jermaine Burton potentially if he gets back to health, a healthy Charlie Jones to that mix. I mean, you just got weapons galore.
And then also adding in a guy like Noah Fant as well. And then today in practice, we saw Charlie Jones. It was more so with the second-team offense, but they're motioning him around. They're putting him in so many different spots on the field. That's the kind of versatility that he can add.
Yeah, I think he can do all kinds of things. It's not just a stretch the field guy. I think he can be between the numbers, between the hashes receiver. I think he can run some reverse stuff if you want to run some jet motion. I just think there's a lot of things you can do because of his athleticism. And he's a tougher little cat than you think. I mean, I know he's been bitten by the injury bug, but again, he's taken a couple of shots in practice at times. He's very confident in himself because you can hear him talk a lot, which you wouldn't think that he's that kind of guy, but he does do some talking. And yeah, I think he's been great this camp. I just hope the kid stays healthy to show what he can do.
Speaking of talking a lot, Skinny, you've covered this team a lot longer than I have, and you've been here throughout all of Joe Burrow's career. This is only my 2nd season covering the Bengals. I want to get your thoughts because you see the clips during the game of him talking to the defense, talking a little bit of smack, if you can call it that. But I haven't heard him in practice talking to his own defense. We had that a little bit today, Joe Burrow talking some smack.
Yeah, I think, you've heard the defense throughout camp, right, when they've done something good. And they did some good stuff today, don't get me wrong. It was dominated by the offense. There were some good moments by the defense because you know what? You heard every time they have a good moment. I mean, they are loud. They are really trying to get under the offense's skin. I think Joe Burrow at times has had enough of that. If you remember, there was a red zone drill. It might have been a drive the field drill on a day when the offense was just struggling. And Joe finally hits Tanner Hudson for a touchdown, and Joe literally yells, "Blank yeah, Tanner!" So, he's been pretty talkative. I think more so than usual. I think he's always been one of those under-the-radar talkers, right? Because to your point, when you see him mic'd up, he's talking to opposing defenders. Sometimes it's nothing more than, hey, good hit, 58, nice job, 92, or take it easy there. There was one with Max Crosby, if you remember. Yeah. Come on now, man, take it easy, take it easy. And so I think that's part of his MO, but you've heard him be way more vocal, at least in these practices.
It's been fun to watch, and maybe a little bit of why he was a little more vocal today was what happened last practice when Shamar Stewart bumped into him, knocked him down, caused the scrum between the offense and the defense. It was quickly broken up. Practice went on smooth after that, no issues. But today we finally got to hear from Stewart talking about exactly what happened on that play.
Yeah, and listen, again, I think we talked about this the other day. Sometimes your emotions go a little high. There are live bodies flying around, and you're one of the live bodies flying around, and sometimes you get to a place where you don't want to get to, and you're there, and you bump into the guy at the wrong time. I'll be honest, if you had push come to shove, and you asked Joe Burrow, do you mind getting hit, or you mind getting knocked down, he'd probably say, nope, I need that, I want that. And so I think, very quickly, we didn't have any even close to skirmishes today, so it seems like all that stuff got behind these guys pretty quickly. And Shamar Stewart, again, flashed. I mean, there hasn't been a practice where he has not flashed. There's been some practices where he's flashed a lot. Today he had one where he beat Cody Ford pretty soundly. Him and Joseph Osai wound up at Burrow at the same time for what would have been a sack. So his progress continues. He did a lot of stuff with the ones today. In fact, I think the very first play of the 11 session, you had Joseph Osai lining up at a tackle, Shamar Stewart lining up outside of him. We saw Shamar line up at a tackle some. We saw him line up at both ends. I mean, this is a guy that's showing versatility and explosiveness. I can't wait to see this when it's for real. And we saw a little bit of it in the preseason game, but I mean when it's for real, and what this really looks like.
And one thing I loved about when Shamar Stewart was speaking today, he mentioned how he went up to Joe in the locker room on Wednesday, apologized for hitting him, and Joe just told him, just make sure you do that when the games count for real too against the opposing teams.
Yeah, again, he's been back there a bunch in camp, and now it's time to get back there and do the thing he didn't do in college, right? That's the MO of, well, you see the tape's explosive, but why only 4.5 career sacks? Hopefully that was just a product of quick pass game, him just not getting home enough, all those things. And maybe, you know, in the NFL game where guys do hold the ball a little longer, he does get a chance to finish some of this stuff. Because, I mean, again, if you just watching this kid, if you tell me that's a kid that only had 4.5 sacks in 3 years of college, I go, what, he played 3 games? I mean, he's just been that good.
Yeah, he has, and part of the reason why he's running with the first team and why a lot of guys are running with the first team, there have been some injuries in camp, as you can expect with any training camp for a National Football League team.
Yeah, Miles Murphy did not practice again today, and he's been out now for a couple of practices. I don't think I talked about him on our newscast today, so I want to mention him. We've seen Jermaine Burton still on the rehab field. You did see today DJ Turner, had a sleeve on his left calf after he played a snap. We've seen him be out at times of practice, so he's obviously dealing with something. You know, I'll be interested when we talk to Zach Taylor tomorrow, who maybe is not going to play because of those injuries. He might be one of those. Mike Gesicki still not back to practice. We saw Marius Mims today. He was out at practice. He was just standing and kind of watching when we're doing team sessions and thought he wasn't going to do anything after that. Cody Ford played right tackle. Then they went to the goal line stuff, and Amarius was in there playing goal line. So maybe just managing him, and maybe, honestly, Cody got snaps with the first team at left tackle when Orlando Brown didn't practice a couple of practices ago. Maybe today was the time to get him extended reps at right tackle for that potential swing tackle role that he's going to fill. I mean, in a perfect world, Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mims take every snap for 17 games. We know it's not a perfect world. To your point, injuries happen, especially those guys. They both got hurt last year and missed some time. So I think nothing more after you watch today of maybe managing. I mean, Amarius looked like he had his hand and wrist kind of taped up. Maybe it was more managing him and saying, all right, what a good day to get Cody some extended snaps at right tackle, and it worked out pretty well.
And they have one more practice before heading out to Washington for Game 2 of the preseason. Tomorrow's the day where we'll hear from Zach Taylor. We'll get the answer of how long are the starters going to play. 2 drives in that first game. And like he had said before that, they're really building towards this Washington one. So tomorrow we'll get those answers for you.